Oof. Ow. Does anyone here know how to help with knee pain?
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's video. Today we're going to be taking you through some of the exercises we have in our Knee Ability Zero program. The first exercise that we start every member on is reverse treadmill or backwards walking. Today we have one of our reverse treadmills where we're going to take Connor through. So as you can see, Connor is stepping back at a pretty nice pace. When someone is dealing with knee pain, we really want them to slow it down. So what you can do for me now is slow it down and also shorten the distance of your steps. Yep. Good. On every single step, what you're going to be doing is stepping through the toes, raising the heels. Good. And what that is doing is that's engaging the VMO. The VMO stands for the vastus medialis oblique, and that's one of the main muscles in the knee that protects the knee. So what he's doing here is not only strengthening the VMO, but also warming it up so we can get into the later part of the workout. So Connor, you've been doing this. Are you feeling pain from doing it, or are you feeling okay?
Not at all. Since it is such a short range of motion, it's doing a really good job warming up the knees and making sure it's not getting irritated by intense movements like a squat or something that's more advanced than simply backwards walking.
Good, good. And then in terms of the VMO muscle that I pointed out right here, when you step through the toe on every single step, are you feeling this area of your quad activate?
Yeah, I think it's very, especially with that form cue of pushing through the toes, it really kind of puts that knee over the toe as well from step to step. So it does help activate that muscle. It makes it easier to kind of get the blood warming up the knee, that sort of thing.
Every time he does take a step and he lifts his heel and steps through the toe, you can see this muscle activating. And again, that's one of the main things that we're looking for in Knee Ability Zero. We really want someone to warm this area of the knees up.
So once we've wrapped up with walking backwards on the treadmill, we're going to be starting to address the ankles. Now, the reason we would want to do that is that the ankle's ability to flex and extend is going to allow to dissipate or kind of remove some of the pressure that would go up the knee if the ankle doesn't have its range of motion. So what Connor will start with is leaning up against the wall, and we're going to train the flexion of the ankles. So this is called the tibialis raise because it's training the muscle called the tibialis anterior. Now, what he's doing here is lifting the toes up while his glutes are pressed up against the wall and his back is a little bit off. That's going to put some of the pressure onto these muscles here. Now, as he's flexing these up, these muscles are going to start getting stronger over time. And as they do that, he can gradually start placing the feet farther forward. Once he's done that and he's cultivated a good amount of strength, we're going to start addressing the other side of the ankle's movement, which is going to be ankle extension. So he'll put his hands up against the wall, and first things first, the calves are made up of two main muscles. We have the gastrocnemius at the very top. It's the thicker part of a calf. And then underneath it, we have what's called the soleus. Now, when you're doing a straight-legged calf raise, you are training primarily the gastrocnemius, this upper fleshier part of the calf. And as he progresses and gets stronger at it, gets more comfortable, he can position his feet farther forward. Here we're going to get more tension, more of a stretch, and these muscles are going to be firing. In order to be able to fully train the calf, we are also going to want to target the soleus. So in order to do that, we need to provide a little bit of a bend of the knee. So he'll just slightly push his knees farther forward, which is great because it's already starting to put tension on the muscles at and around the knees. So having this angle here, he has a little bit of an isometric with the quads here, but this stretched position here is going to start putting tension further down on his calves, hitting the soleus muscle. So as he gets stronger, improving the ankle's flexion and extension, allowing the leg to be able to fully move through a squatted movement, it's going to help remove some of the pain that would otherwise be there if that joint was a bit stiffer, which now, once this is all done, he's going to progress onto the exercises that are going to target directly the knee joint.
Okay, so right after you're done with your tibs and calves, we're going to go straight to the Patrick step up. And this movement is great. It's a really easy gradient to start working that top range knee ability. And so as you can see here, he's bending at the knee, making sure not to bend the hips, keeping the hips straight, glutes activated, and he's just lowering down. And when starting out, the farther you step out, the harder it gets. So the closer you are when starting out is ideal. And then the more knee ability you get over time, pain-free, of course, you can start stepping out farther and farther. The key things as far as form point is obviously keeping this leg locked out. You're just tapping at the heel here. You don't want to transfer the weight over to this foot. You're still wanting to keep all the stimulus and everything like that here because that's the leg you're working. And so this is a great movement to start training imbalances and correcting those because you're training single leg at a time. So any imbalances that you do have, you know, you wouldn't do more than what that current leg can do. And then on your stronger leg, if you have one, you would just match it on the weaker leg. And then as far as like an extra way to regress this, if this is still too difficult, you can hold on to something for assistance. And now it's less than body weight because you're holding on to assistance and engaging some stability, like as far as that. So you're not just like stabilizing with your muscles. Still working the movement, still getting the benefits from it. We're only looking for pain-free muscle burn on this. How does it feel currently doing this?
So what I felt right away with training this movement, since it is such a short range exercise, you almost immediately can feel the benefits of it just because you're able to create a lot of volume in a short amount of time. And I almost predominantly felt it in the VMO muscle right here, which typically is really hard to reach, like if you have knee pain or if it's hard to get out of knee pain. So I really like that. And what I noticed with holding onto assistance too, you can get much deeper into the stretch versus if you're weak in that position, there's only so far you can go. So it's nice knowing that there's regressions not only with the range of motion that you go, but also just holding on to something too, so you can get into those deeper ranges of motion.
Of course.
So,
and then there's also ways to, you know, progress this movement, increase the intensity by adding elevation, adding weight, either dumbbells or bar on back. That make it more difficult as well, as far as like, you know, just how far as you step. The next exercise in this program would be the ATG split squat. And with this movement, we start working long range knee ability, whereas like with the Patrick step, it was just short range, the top quarter. Now we're working full range. And as you can see, again, single leg movement, you're working on imbalances. This is a great movement for not only developing, you know, knee ability and the quad and everything like that, but actually mobility and the outer hip and the leg that's working because it's stretched out. So you're working that hip flexor right here. And also the leg that's, you know, working as far as when you're doing the exercise. Great movement for working on ankle mobility as well. Fundamental movement and key movement in our system. Almost every program has this movement in it just because we found it to work the best. So to make this movement easier and, you know, more scalable to where your current level is, you can increase the elevation by making the box higher and then also using poles or something to hold on to for assistance on the way down. And then to make this movement more difficult, you know, once you get good at it, you're more pain-free, you can lower the elevation, you know, whatever that is, you can go like 2 degrees lower. In this case, we're going to do it a little bit more just to show you. But this makes it more difficult because now you're working more range. You're using and activating those muscles in a different way than higher elevation. And as far as form cues, you know, you want to keep in mind when you go down, the back knee does not touch the floor, keeping that leg straight, the outer ankle out and not rotating inward. Full coverage, as you can see right here, of the hamstring and calf. And then also go back down, keeping their torso up straight. Those are like the form cues. If you keep those in, you're doing the ATG split squat correctly and you will get the benefits from this movement.
yeah, like you mentioned too, it is a deep range knee strengthening exercise. So although you're strengthening these muscles, very similar to the step up, you definitely do notice a difference and kind of feel a lengthening effect. And like you also pointed on, it is more than just the knees. With the step up, I primarily felt all this strengthening and stretching in my knees at the VMO. But with this, I feel it in the hips, the ankles, the low back, the glutes even. So it's a very dimensional exercise where you can get a lot of different benefits in different areas of the body. And it's also very simple, like you mentioned too. You can regress it with elevation. Holding on to something always helps, and it makes it easier to get in these deeper ranges of motion too. Like if you lower the box, I found that just holding on to these every time you lower it can help make sure that you own the range of motion at a pain-free level.
Exactly.
The last step that we have in our knee ability zero routine is the couch stretch. I think the couch stretch is not only one of the best stretches we have in this program, but also in the entirety of what we offer online at ATG. So what Connor's going to do right here is kneel down on the pad And when someone first starts, as Connor is here, you're going to have some distance in between the pad and your knee. Having your knee all the way back to the pad is going to be the toughest and is going to cause the most stretch to that hip flexor. So what Connor's doing now is having some distance between the back right here. And then as he gets comfortable with it, he's going to get closer and he's going to work on leaning back just like that. And when you do this, where do you feel it stretch the most?
A huge stretch in the hips right here,
Yeah.
like a very unavoidable, like it's an immense stretch. It feels really good. It doesn't feel like any pain or discomfort. It's really opening up like between your hip and to your thigh.
Exactly. And also with people sitting down the entirety of the days, working at the office and just, doing the general job like that, hip flexors tighten up like crazy. And so I can assume for you, having tight hip flexors, it's, this probably loosens it up like crazy.
Absolutely. Like being someone who does work from a seated position all the time, doing this, I could feel this is a movement that I need to do more often just because it is a very good stretch. It's not hurting me at all, so I know it's something I can do more often. So
Good. And if you feel this is hurting you, for anyone watching, again, like we mentioned before, if you feel this is hurting, just move your knee further back, and also you can lean forward as much as you possibly need. The more that you lean back, the harder stretch is going to be right in this opposite hip flexor. Thanks for tuning into this week's video. This Knee Ability Zero routine that we just took you through is something that we actually offer on the app. And I know that in the video we use certain pieces of equipment, but on the app we have everything figured out to where if you don't have any equipment, you can do the program in full because we have alternatives and regressions for every single thing. The Knee Ability Zero program, along with all of our other programs that we offer, are fully available to you, and I really look forward to seeing you on the app. Again, thanks so much for tuning in to this week's video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.